Well, good morning. My name is Sean Miller, and I'm the lead pastor here at Saratoga Federated Church. And on behalf of Ken's family, I want to welcome you to this very special time of remembrance. I want you to know that your presence here means so much to them. And the grief that you feel and have felt is a sign of your love for Ken, the impact he had on your life, and your love for his family. So it's good that you're here. Would you join me as we open up in prayer today? Father, we pray for your peace and your presence. God, we thank you that we can come together and celebrate a life well lived. God, thank you that Ken impacted so many people, and there are so many that aren't here that were impacted by his life. And we're grateful for that. It's a model for the rest of us. I pray that today our hearts and our minds would flood with beautiful memories. God, that we would be healing to one another and encouraging to one another during this season, and that you would be glorified as well. And we thank you in your precious name. Amen.
Great unknown, where feet may fail, and there I find you in the mystery, in oceans deep, my faith will stand, and I will call upon your name. Keep my eyes above the waves. When oceans rise, my soul will rest in your embrace. For I am yours, and you are mine. Your grace abounds in deepest waters. Your sovereign hand will be my guide. Where feet may fail and fear surrounds me, you never fail, and you won't start now. So I will call upon your name and keep my eyes above the waves. When oceans rise, my soul will rest in your embrace. For I am yours, and you are mine. Spirit, lead me where my trust is without borders. Let me walk upon the waters wherever you would call me. Take me deeper than my feet could ever wander, and my faith will be made stronger in the presence of my Savior. Spirit, lead me where my trust is without borders. Let me walk upon the waters wherever you would call me. Take me deeper than my feet could ever wander, and my faith will be made stronger in the presence of my Savior. oceans rise, my soul will rest in your embrace, for I am yours, and you are mine.
Hi, good morning. Thank you all for coming. This means a lot to our family, our extended family, to have everybody here. I wrote some stuff down to go over. I apologize. I haven't written a speech down since I was like 13 years old, so I'd usually just make this stuff up as I go along. I'll try not to get too Trumpy on it and get off the script a little bit. It's hard for me here. The last 3 times I've been here, I buried my mother here, I got married here, and now I'm burying my father here. So it's definitely a big mix of emotions for me personally. But I do love this church, and I love the memories that I have here as a kid, and the time I spent here with my family and in this community and in this neighborhood. So. All right, let's get to the speech. Okay. Since my dad's passing, I've heard from a number of people via text, emails, phone calls, whatever, and it's been very special because it's not a token, thoughts and prayers kind of statement. Everybody kind of had a story about the influence, whether they knew my dad for 5 minutes or for years. There was always something that he said or he did that kind of changed the trajectory of their life a little bit. Sometimes subtle, sometimes drastic, but that was kind of the power that he had. Was he had this ability to want the best from you, even if you didn't really want it for yourself. He wanted to see you succeed, even if you didn't really know you needed the help. And I think that's why here there's to be honest, there's more people here than I thought. He's 83 years old, and a lot of his closest, dearest friends have moved on, and he hasn't lived in this area for 20 years, and people still show up to honor him and see him. And that's special. That's a guy that was interested in you. Now, don't get me wrong. He's not going to be real sad that we're talking about him today. He's going to enjoy the moments. I can guarantee you. So my dad, he was competitive. He prided himself on efficiency. But above all, he was an optimist, but his competitiveness was never about beating others. It was just getting the best out of himself and those that he was with. That we'll do our best today to be successful, and if they beat us, that's fine. We'll figure out a way to up our game tomorrow and beat them tomorrow, and. He saw that in everything that he did. He looked at this life as the American dream. His favorite speech or story that he loved to tell, whether it was to football teams or high schools or at work meetings, was the story about going to the beach. And the ocean is your opportunity, and you can go to the beach and you can take a spoon or you can take a bucket. It doesn't matter. That's the American. You can in America you can take what you want and work for it, and there's no obstacles to what you want to do. And that was kind of how he lived his life. He lived his life by that opportunity and that striving to want to just scoop up as much as you want. And be successful. So when I think back on times like sitting in the family room at our home, and there's 40, 50, varsity football players sitting in there, and he pulls out some 1960s random song called Big Bad John and talks about how our opportunity tomorrow night at this game, that John's going to run for crazy and we're going to win this game and beat a team that we shouldn't beat. And sure enough, it happens. We come out Friday, John runs for like 130 yards, we win the game, and we go on and play for a CCS championship. He could see those moments. And then when he had, and it didn't happen very often, but it troubled him. But if on the rare occasion that the Milpitas Quality Tune-Up Shop would beat his beloved Blossom Hill Quality Tune-Up Shop, at 5:07 on Saturday night, he'd call Mike, and he'd tell Mike, I know you're the best at what you do. We can do this. We can beat those guys. We're going to figure out a way to beat those guys. We're not losing to Milpitas again. And sure enough, they would. The next month, back on top, #1 shop again. And he'd love to tell me all about it. It wasn't all, for others, though. Ken was very competitive. And I'm sure in heaven, anybody that's listened, that's met him already, he's already kind of told him the story about the soccer ball hitting the crossbar against Hillsdale and costing the girls CCS soccer championship because they missed a penalty kick in overtime. That one, he was still talking to the nurses about that in the hospital, and it's been 40 years. Get over it. You missed the kick. It's over. It happens. So my dad was really kind of the only person that could get away with, we're going to call it efficiency, but if you ever spoke to my dad on the phone, you could be in the middle of a sentence and all of a sudden, okay, thanks, okay, I'll talk to you later, bye, and boom, gone. And what happened? He was done. He was moving on. He had something else to do, and he was going to move on to the next thing that he had to do. And we like to call it efficiency, but again, his heart was always in the right place, so you never took it personal that he just hung up the phone on you. But it was always, you just knew him. You knew he was a guy that, he'd go to the mailbox and he'd write a check that day. He'd walk in, he'd write the check and take it right back out to the mailbox. He wanted to get things done. He was an efficient kind of guy. And my dad always had a real special bond with my wife, Erica. She was kind of his go-to person for taking care of things, whether it's family related, but always when it came to his books. And I could never really kind of figure it out why. I could kind of sense different things, but because Erica is obviously different, my dad would be reconciling his bank statement at the end of the month, and I'm $95 off. That's close enough. Let's just close it. Erica, no, Ken, you can't do that. You can't do that. We'll fix it. I'll fix it for you. But when I would see different things, whether I was with my dad or I was with Erica, and I'd see, we're waiting for an elevator, and it's button, or at the stoplight, and why is the stoplight not changing? And then, my absolute favorite, now that, Eric and I share an office, and then I'd be helping my dad do stuff at home. Click, 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 click. Dad, QuickBooks will open when it's going to open. Stop pushing. You did clicking, it's not going to make it open any faster. But I remember a few years ago, their bond kind of hit a new level for the two of them when they realized we were sitting, I don't remember where we were sitting around talking, and they realized collectively that they both hated going to the bathroom because that was a waste of 30 seconds. Why do I have to go to the bathroom? It's a waste of my time having to stop what I'm doing to go to the bathroom. And I'm like, and oh my gosh, they thought that was the funniest thing ever. They high-fived on that thing for years. And there's the old adage that a lot of times your daughters, will marry, their husbands will be there, like similar to their dads. And apparently I married my dad. So what are we going to do? So there's one memory that's stuck with me for a long time, and I never really understood it at the time. It was my dad being my dad, and as I had kids of my own, I started to understand it a little bit more. And when we first moved to Saratoga, my mom and my dad wanted Julie and I to make some friends as quickly as we could in a new town and a new neighborhood. And my dad's answer to that was what it was always going to be, which was sports. You make lifelong friends playing sports. And it's true. I have friends that I've played sports with that are all here today, and he was right. So when we moved out here, he signed me up for Little League, and we went out, and my first game was like 0 for 3 or something like that. And when I came home from school the next day, my dad came home from work, and he had a brand new bucket of baseballs, and picked me up and said, "Come on, we're gonna go hit some baseballs." And we drove down to Redwood, and he pitched the entire bucket to me. And so here we get to the next game, and I go 1 for 3 with a couple of ground outs. So now we realized there's a new problem my dad and I figured out. And that is, I am really, really slow. So my dad is a problem solver. So the next day he comes back from work, picks me up after school. We go back down to Redwood. And he goes, "Okay, turn around and go lefty." And I go, "Dad, I'm right-handed. Why would I bat lefty?" He goes, if you bat lefty, you'll be 3 steps closer to first base. You'll get there faster. Couldn't argue with that one. So that was my dad. He was an optimist. He was a problem solver, and he had belief in me. And so the truth is, if you happen to drive by Congress Springs or Foothill Elementary or something in the spring of 1980, you would have seen a scrawny, slow-running, little right-handed kid batting left-handed with a wooden bat. And for those of you that don't know, in Little League and even high school and college, you can play with these nice, scientifically designed, lightweight aluminum bats. You can play baseball because you're not fully developed yet. But as a 10-year-old, a wooden bat is pretty darn heavy. But my dad figured I would have a big advantage when I went pro in the major leagues, because I will have been playing with a wooden bat for the last decade. So, always an optimist. Through and through, that guy. So this past Sunday our church happened to be doing baptisms, and as I kind of watched the people going down and coming back up, obviously I thought about my dad and the passing, and my dad had a kind of a belief or a saying or kind of something that he stood by as he's drinking a Diet Coke for breakfast. Scott, the book is already written. The date of our passing, he already knows when that date is, and it's already predetermined. So I certainly miss my mom, and I am heartbroken that she never had the opportunity to hold my children. But I've realized now that her work was done here, and God didn't need her anymore, and he took her home. And he did that because her being there is what gave my dad peace in his final days, knowing that she was there waiting for him. And Louisa, I want to say thank you to you for everything that you've done for my family and my kids. And it's in the book, and hopefully it'll be many years from now. I know my dad will be waiting for you, and he will hug you, and standing next to him will be my mom, and she will hug you like the sister she never had for loving Kenny the way that you did, and for loving your shared grandchildren together. So thank you, Louisa. And finally, to my dad, I just want to say that you are a great father. You have been an unbelievable business mentor to me for the last 30 years. And I appreciate the fact that you always thought I deserved the wooden bat.
Hi, my name is Francesca. I am one of Papa's grandchildren. Papa always made me feel safe and loved. And this reading reminds me of that same comfort and support that he brought me. I hope it brings you peace today as we celebrate his life. Psalm 23. The Lord is my shepherd. He gives me everything I need. He lets me lie down in fields of green grass. He leads me beside quiet waters. He gives me new strength. He guides me in the right paths for his name's sake. Even though I walk through the darkest valley, I will not be afraid. You are with me. Your shepherd's rod and staff comfort me. You prepare a feast for me right in front of my enemies. You pour oil on my head. My cup runs over. Surely your goodness and love will follow me all the days of my life, and I will live in the house of the Lord forever. Dear God, thank you for the gift of Papa's life. Thank you for always being our shepherd, guiding us with love through every part of your life, of our lives. Please continue to watch over him in your eternal care and bring comfort and peace to all of us who love him so much.
Hello, everyone. My name is Cole Davis. I'm a son to Erica and Scott, and I'm a grandson of Ken, or as I know him, Papa. I want to thank you all for being here today to celebrate my grandfather and the remarkable life that he lived, a life that touched so many of us, as we can tell with how many people are here today. Papa, thank you for the incredible care and mentorship you provided me, my siblings, and my cousins. Thank you also for raising two wonderful children who have always been and will forever be unwavering supporters and mentors in my life. And thank you for choosing the Bay Area as your home after Michigan. I wouldn't have wanted any other environment to grow up in. Kind of. I'm a strong supporter of supporting home teams, and while I appreciate the Giants in the early 2010s and the Warriors in the late 2010s, but I mean, come on, football's my game. Why couldn't you have settled down somewhere like, New England, Kansas City? It's not even like you chose the wrong side of the bay because, holy cow, the Raiders have been stinky my whole life. Sorry to twist the knife, Tony. I don't know where you're at. To me, Papa has been a great mentor and motivator in my life, and for the majority of it, he lived close to me in the Bay Area. My cousins, we can all attest to this. There was never a moment or event he did not find the time to watch us from the sidelines or the audience. Never. And yet, he was always there with his camera. I wasn't the most talented athlete or performer, if I had much talent at all, but yet he always treated my events as if I were the star. And from those sidelines and audience, I was looking at that camera, that little camcorder. The camera and his dedication to it became a huge motivator for my life today. I would watch him meticulously document the world around him, our family, our relationships as cousins, and his babies, all grown up with their own families. He captured these simple, precious moments with such care and diligence. It wasn't until years later when he started the family tradition of sitting us down in front of to watch these memories play out on the TV that I truly understood the emotion radiating from my cousins, grandma, my aunts, and my uncles. That experience ignited something within me, leading me to pursue a career in the film industry and film production. When I first got to Los Angeles 5 years ago, it was really hard to figure out what path I could take for my future in film. I'm partially colorblind, so lighting and camera would not work. I'm not very fashionable or artistic, so hair, makeup, and wardrobe was not my calling. However, growing up under Papa and Dad, two businessmen, and my mom in finance, the business and financial side of filmmaking was the clear path for my future, and I don't regret it a single day since I made that decision. Papa always loved to hear how my career was unfolding, and I will be forever grateful that I was able to create a solid foundation in my career in the film industry before his passing. Papa's influence on me and my cousins will forever be a part of us, and I thank him constantly for the effort, diligence, and care he put into being a grandfather. He battled hard this last year and did everything he could to create a fun life and experience for us. From the many trips he took us on to small day events, there was never a moment where you did not feel his love for his grandkids. A moment that will be with me forever is a time when I was about 6 to 7 years old. Papa and Dad took me to a Giants game when it was still at AT&T Park. After the game, we were in the car figuring out how to get home. Dad and Papa were going back and forth on which freeway they wanted to take home, and mind you, I had zero sense of direction at the time. I recalled the numbers 101 because it was the room number of the kids' room at church. I leaned forward from the back seat in an attempt to get in on the conversation and chimed in with, "The 101 freeway?" Papa looked pretty impressed and went, "He's not wrong." I felt so cool in that moment, like I was one of the guys. Pre-Google or Apple Maps, I pinpointed the only freeway that would take us home from once we hit San Jose. That was a peak moment for my young self and core memory. It was nice to always feel Papa's love, and you would know that if you ever went to Quality Tune-Up on Blossom Hill. Pictures of the family covered the walls, and though it was a bit embarrassing anytime a friend would visit Quality Tune-Up, and all of a sudden I get a Snapchat or Instagram picture of my 10-year-old self on the wall, it was quite embarrassing, but, looking back on it, I appreciate the love he had for us and would not trade it for the world. Thank you, Papa, for raising a great son who raised me into the man I am today. Also, thank you for staying strong in your last week here on earth, enough to give me time to drive out on my day off so I could see you one last time. Thank you for fighting, even though your body wanted to give up. I will forever cherish the memories, along with the thousands of other memories you were able to give me. Thank you, Papa, and rest in peace. I love you.
Grand earth has quaked before, sound of his voice. The seas that are shaken and stirred can be calmed and broken from my regard. And through it all, my eyes are on you. And through it all, it is well. Through it all, my eyes are on you, and it is well with me. And far be it from me to not believe, even when my eyes can't see. And this mountain that's in front of me will be thrown into the midst of the sea. And through it all, my eyes are on you. And through it all, it is well. And through it all, my eyes are on you, and it is well. It is well. So let go, my soul, and trust in Him. The waves and wind still know His name. So let go, my soul, and trust in Him. The waves and wind still know His name. The waves and wind still know His name. It is well with my soul. It is well with my soul. It is well with my soul. It is well. It is well with my soul. It is well. It is well with my soul. And through it all, my eyes are on you. And through it all, it is well. And through it all, my eyes are on you, and it is well with me.
I'm Ken's daughter, and I have a poem to share. It's called The Greatest Gift. As Kenny's daughter, I felt blessed from the start. Though grown when we met, he captured my heart. For nearly 3 decades, our bond grew so strong, with his wisdom, generosity, and kindness lifelong. Kenny met my mother, and their hearts became one. They blended our families with warmth and with fun. A true partner and companion, steadfast and true. For the love he gave her, my gratitude grew. He was so much more than a stepdad to me, the best kind of father there ever could be. To his grandkids, a papa, so loving and true, the soul of our family in all that he'd do. Kenny lived with honor, his heart full of grace. He earned deep respect with a calm, steady pace. He led with loyalty and patriotic pride, always giving freely with arms open wide. Thoughtful and selfless in all that he'd do, he noticed our needs before we ever knew. He planned family trips with love as his guide, creating memories that forever abide. Holidays were brighter because Kenny was there. His smile brought comfort beyond all compare. His guidance was steady, his words always wise. He made everyone feel seen in his eyes. He showed us strength that can be quiet and kind, that giving with grace brings a true peace of mind. To be his daughter remains my life's pride. Kenny's spirit and courage, forever my guide. I will carry his love for wherever I go, his thoughtfulness and that warm inner glow. His greatest belief that family is key. His love will forever be our unity. Kenny's life was a blessing, his purpose so true, a story of kindness in all that he knew. The greatest of gifts was the love he passed on, his legacy shaping generations to come. I love you.
Hello, my name is Trevor. I'm one of Papa's grandchildren as well. So I'm going to be reading out of 2 Timothy, just that we can rejoice today knowing that Papa is in heaven, exuberating a peace and joy that we can never understand. It says, I have fought the good fight. I have finished the race. I have kept the faith. Henceforth, there is laid up for me the crown of righteousness, which the Lord, the righteous judge, will award to me on that day, and not only to me, but also to all who have loved his appearing. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here. It means a lot, and I'm going to do my darndest to get through this. These speeches ahead of me have been amazing, right? Unbelievable. Scott, that was unbelievable. My dad was my hero, my biggest cheerleader, and best friend. We were born almost exactly 30 years apart, he on March 30th, me on April 11th. That made us both Aries. Some of the Aries traits, as many of you may know, are energetic, confident, courageous, competitive, honest, passionate, and sometimes impulsive. Sharing these personality traits made us very close, and we understood each other on a different level. Many times, without my dad saying a word, I knew what he was thinking or feeling. We just had a special bond because we were so similar. It's hard to sum up a lifetime of memories into a short speech. So when I was preparing for today, I spent time meditating on the memories that came to mind first, and the ones that are most tender to my heart. One of my favorite traits was my dad and how courageous he was. He was my age that I am today when he lost his wife of 27 years, our mom, to cancer. Watching him pick up the pieces of his life and move forward as a single parent was painful, yet inspiring. I remember my 23-year-old self during that time having a conversation with him about how I no longer had a mom to spend hours on the phone with at night or go shopping with, and that he was going to have to fill those roles for me. With courage and grace, he stepped into those roles and became my best friend. My poor father had to spend hours on the phone listening to all of my drama that you can imagine comes with being a girl in their 20s, and never once did he complain. He just did what I asked out of pure love. A time in my life that I will cherish is when I worked for my dad's shop on Blossom Hill Road. I was between jobs with young children at home, trying to figure out my next career move, when he offered me the opportunity to work as a service writer at the front desk. He promised flexible hours, so I took the job. I knew nothing about cars, so thank you to Mike and the team at Shop 8 for being so patient with me. It was such a gift to see my dad almost every day at the shop and watching him in his element. Oftentimes we would run errands together, and on those car rides, he would share stories about building quality tune-up and all of the challenges he had to overcome for the company to be successful. It was in those moments that I realized the sacrifices that he and my mother made in order to provide us such a wonderful and privileged life. Throughout my life, my dad was always looking out for me. During the final days of my father's life, I witnessed a tender interaction between Marco, my sweet husband, and my dad. Marco leaned over to give my dad a hug goodbye, and I heard my dad say to Marco through his tears, "Take good care of her." In that moment, I was overtaken by both emotion by his parting words to my husband and immense gratitude for the profound love and protection my dad had given to me all the days of my life. That love shaped me to be who I am today, and I thank God every day for giving me such a wonderful father. Many of you know that my dad's love language was videos, and chances are you were probably in them. Filming was one of the many ways he expressed his love for his family and his friends. He was always holding a video camera, whether it was filming Scott and I during our childhood and high school years, to later in life when he captured every grandchild's event or family vacation. He would film and then distribute the footage to the family members so everyone could relive those memories. Through those photos, through those videos, he was telling us how much he loved us over and over again. That was his love letter to us. It's a legacy he handed down to me and an art form that I connect with. So today, this video tribute is not just about remembering him. It is a continuation of the love that he gave so generously. Dad, I love you. This one's for you. Thank you.
He was a big personality. He was love. He was light. He was joy. And I think about the color red. He was red. I know, just in talking with my family, a lot of broken hearts, a lot of hearts that are hurting right now because we just miss him. So my dad's love language was film. His children, and then eventually his grandchildren's lives. That was his passion. He was, at any event, he had a camera with him. And it makes me realize how lucky I am that he cared. It was capturing those that he loved.
We're filming. Lift the hands of the winners. Champions.
And my dad loved sports, and his father loved animals and sports. And that was the one thing that they bonded, kind of together on. I think my dad knew deep down that his presence, being there at every game, was enough for him. I think that was something that was instilled in him as something that was very memorable and important to him, and then he just kind of continued that legacy on. My dad was very invested in making sure that people knew their talents, and he wanted them to believe in that, and he was very motivational. He always wore his red Saratoga Falcons jacket, so my friends fondly called him Big Red. So this like presence of just being a cheerleader for people was something that he absolutely leaned into his entire life. One of his greatest attributes is that he's competitive, or he was very competitive. And that went for anything in his life. And when he started working, he needed a job. So he started working at a Shell station, pumping gas, and then eventually, he bought that station, and then he started managing that station, and then he bought another station a year or so later, and he started building his business one by one for one of his grand openings for he called it K&K Shell, which was for Ken and Karen. My mom's name was Karen. My mom's out there holding, cups full of, who knows, probably juice or water, and he's out there selling, and it was just such a sweet, family affair. He was at a party. They were at a house party, and he said that he saw my mom just dancing. She loved to dance. She was a dancer, but she was dancing, and he said, "Oh, that's the woman I'm gonna marry." And he just kind of walked right up to her, and they just started chatting, and that was kind of it. They had a really, beautiful life. They respected each other. They had a very respectful, loving relationship. She was his rock, and that was through, their whole marriage. I think she was the steady and the calm in the relationship. They had their roles. He was out working and she was taking care of the household, and it worked for them. That was a perfect relationship for them. He lived to make her happy and bring her, to create this life for her that was as beautiful as can be. They had a very wonderful, loving relationship, and my brother and I are very fortunate that we saw such a healthy, loving relationship, because both he and I have wonderful partners, and I definitely know it's because my parents gave us a beautiful example of what true love really is. So at the end of my mom's life, I know that they were having lots of conversations, my dad and my mom. She really wanted him to be with somebody, and she was very clear. She wanted him to meet somebody else, get remarried. She knew he needed that. I have no doubt, and I know my brother would say the same, that my mom handpicked Louisa, because it was such a perfect union from the minute that they met. They immediately just hit it off, and Louisa, was just, they both just were head over heels in love. He would always say, "I'm so lucky because I got to find two loves in my life." And he really genuinely meant that. He was able to find love with my mom, and as painful as it was to say goodbye, he picked himself up and he was able to find love again with Louisa till the end of his life, which is a pretty beautiful life. Well, after my dad and Louisa met, this was a family that was going to be, blended. She had 3 children, he had 2. I think from the very beginning, my dad just welcomed the family in as if they were his own. And same with Louisa, she just welcomed my brother and I as part of her family. And we were very lucky to have really amazing, step-siblings. They are wonderful people. We were all pretty much adults by the time we had met. It was more fun. It was like a big party. We would get together and it was fun.
Stephanie, dinner in Arizona.
They hosted every holiday, they hosted every birthday party, and they definitely made sure, they always had these beautiful homes. They moved a little bit, but their homes would always have the perfect backyard. And they always hosted sleepovers, like Christmas sleepovers for the kids, and we call it the cousin sleepover, and the cousins loved that. That was some of their favorite memories, is from those cousin sleepovers. His true pride and joy was just seeing them, right? Just seeing them being so happy, seeing them together and making those lasting relationships. All of those kids mean the world to Grandma and Papa. Their life completely revolves around those children. And it's just such a beautiful thing to see. It's definitely a legacy that he will leave behind, is just they'll remember him cheering them on at their events, at their graduations, at their birthday parties, just when they came to visit, him, and they just, all the little things, sitting by the pool, talking about life.
I'm in the video.
I want to say it started probably in high school, but my dad had a love for the song Eye of the Tiger. And I think it became this anthem for my dad. It was like a pump-up song for him. He'd play it for our soccer team before a big game. And it was kind of all about the fight, right? You're just you're getting ready, you're going in, you're ready, Eye of the Tiger, we got this. And he used the saying Eye of the Tiger like a mantra, Eye of the Tiger. So if I had something big that was coming up, he'd be like, Eye of the Tiger, Julie, Eye of the Tiger. What's even really interesting is that he used it up until the end of his life. And even when he was in the hospital just this last month, there was a really awful procedure that he had to go through. And my sweet sister-in-law, Erica, was sitting with him, and she just said, Eye of the Tiger, Ken. And he shook his head. And he knew exactly what she meant. And she said you could see him just kind of get strong and get courageous and be brave. And that was something he just lived by. I got this. And so that song will forever live on. We will always think of him. And we will always continue that mantra of Eye of the Tiger. Eye of the Tiger. I want him to know how grateful we all are for the love, sweat, and tears that he put into this family and the sacrifices he made to ensure that we had a beautiful life. And he was selfless. He was loving, he was generous, he was kind, he was funny. He wanted everybody to feel loved. So we would just all say thank you, and that we'll miss him. And we already miss him very much. But we're all gonna be strong. We're all gonna move forward, and we're gonna live our best lives, because that's what he would want for every one of us. And he'd say, Eye of the Tiger.
Well, hot out there, Dad. Say hi to the video.
Right. A little hot, maybe, right? 1 second, it'll be on.
Yeah.
Wait till you see the picture. Hot.
Hot tamales. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. I don't know if we needed that.
How'd it go out there, Ken? All the kids gonna be.
Oh, you already wiped under your arms and then your face. Gross.
Good enough. Tell him, Daddy, I'm feeling.
Rising up, back on the street, did my time.
yourself. Grandma, show it to the camera.
Here, let's get it now. Oh, wow.
There's a word for that. It's legacy. Kenny left a legacy of love and compassion and joy, competitiveness. And so when your grief and your sorrow and the loss that you feel, I had the tiger. It's great. For each and every person here today, it is a time of incredible loss, and loss brings with it a deep sadness and a grief that's difficult to face. But today is more than just sadness. Today is also a time of memory, and memories can be painful, but also beautiful, and in fact, they can be a balm for our souls. And today, I believe, is even a time of hope, and you've heard a lot of that already today. It's in these times that we can turn to the ancient scriptures for comfort. The 23rd Psalm that Francesca read, also known as the Shepherd's Psalm, was written by somebody who was experiencing loss in their life. The author, David, says, "Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death." And today, you are walking through that shadow. And all of you will feel the loss of Kenny from your lives in different ways. And you are here to say goodbye, and it's healthy and good that you do. Because there will always be a hole where Kenny was in your lives. He's one of a kind. Some of you will miss the way that he was so optimistic or inspirational to the people around him, or how he loved to joke and laugh with his quirky sense of humor, or how he loved to tell stories and people would kind of lean in and listen to him do that. God knew that we would experience loss and pain when he told us that there is a time for everything under heaven, a season for every activity, a time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to uproot, a time to kill and a time to heal, a time to tear down and a time to build, a time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to mourn and a time to dance. And so it is good that you are here. This is your time. It's a time to celebrate Kenny's life. And Jesus understands what we feel when we lose a loved one. He himself stood at the grave of his good friend Lazarus, and he wept. But today's not the end of the story, because it's not just a time of loss. In fact, it would be incomplete if we stopped here, because today is also a time to remember. In Psalm 23, the author writes, "My cup overflows." And today your cups are overflowing with that legacy and all of those memories that you have. In a little bit, we're going to have an opportunity for you to share if you would like to. And so I'd like for you to think about a story to share. When we do this, and we do it in community, it's comforting and it's healing. And it's one of the best ways to walk through our grief together. And so let's take some time to think about a memory. For each of you, that'll be a little bit different. As I sat and talked with Kenny's family and heard the story of his life, it was clear how much everyone admired his hard work and his generosity. Ken was successful in business, but he wasn't motivated by money. Instead, he was motivated by relationship. And he loved those in his life, and he showed that love to those closest to him, his friends and family, but also to those who worked for him, to all those kids that he coached. And as it's already been said, part of that love that he showed was walking around with that video camera at all times. That's a gift that most of us don't get. Ken lived a full life. He loved and he was loved in return. And he is worthy to be remembered. And so what's a memory that you might have of Ken? We're going to pause, and Marco's going to come and share some memories. And then after that, I'll come back and I'll have a microphone if you would like to share today.
Hello, I'm with Julie. I'm the icebreaker, so you're welcome. Politics, money, friendship, and Julie. A couple of those topics we're not supposed to talk about. So I'll start with politics. Ken and I, we had an agreement. It evolved well early on, and this is how that agreement happened. It was a truce regarding conversations about politics, more of a ban, really. And I'll take the blame for it, and it started, I think, at the Almaden House, probably at a birthday celebration for Caitlin and baby Kenny, or Mother's Day, or something where we should have been talking about other things. And I caught myself after I said the words, because we were mid-conversation or whatever that was, I said, "Listen, Ken." Dead silence. Julie's big eyes pan over to me. Oh no, Erica comes over, Virginia, everybody swarmed. No, let's not do that. Ken doesn't always follow rules, and I'm not going to say that he started it all the time, but there's this one memorable time where we were probably the last ones to the event. Everybody was already there, and he was eager to talk to me, and he grabs me by my elbow, pulls me over, says, "I know we're not supposed to talk about politics, but I just want to tell you this one thing." So I said, "Hold on a second, Ken. Hey, honey, he knows that we're not supposed to talk about politics, but he just wants to tell me this one thing." Okay, go ahead, Ken. But by that time, everybody had already reinstated the ban. He had a way of telling me things later. It's fine. I got the information I needed to know. He gave me that spoon and bucket talk. So Marco, the secret to making money is when you go to the beach, you can bring a spoon or a bucket. That's all he told me. That's the speech I got. Shortly thereafter, I went back to teaching. I didn't bring a spoon or a bucket. It's fine. St. Francis is very generous. They pay all of us educators extremely well. And not saying that because the president and principal of St. Francis High School are here today. They are here today, but that's not why I'm saying that. Thanks for being here. I would usually ask Ken when I would see him, "How's business going?" Because that's not politics. How's business? How's the business? And inevitably, he would say things to the effect of, "Things are going great. Things are good. Everyone's working hard. We're making money. Scott's doing a great job. Mike's doing a great job." Or he'd say, "I just finished handing out some bonuses because when I'm making money, everybody's making money. They're working hard. They deserve it." It has occurred to me that when Ken told me that the secret to making money is, have the bucket, that's not actually how he approached it. If he were to go to a beach, in whatever endeavor that was, he'd bring a big boat. He might be wearing those short shorts that you saw in the video, even before they were popular. But he'd be in that boat, leading the charge, getting more boats and bringing other people with him. And regardless of what happened, he would either go over or under, but usually through whatever was in front of him. And he did that with such perseverance and grace and determination and optimism that you couldn't help but want to go with him. I remember Ken being so proud when he would show me those certificates that would go up on the walls at Shop 8 for the Wounded Warriors. When they met a benchmark, which they always made that benchmark, he would make a donation to the Wounded Warriors because he was putting his money where his heart was. He's done that so many times over the years, they ran out of wall space. There's a little space for the pictures of the family, but that shows his true character. Friendship. As soon as Ken knew that his dear friend Larry was ill with a blood cancer, he shaved his head. And he would show that hair off. There wasn't a lot to shave off, but some of it was natural. But the rest of it came off without any further thought as an act of love. And a year later, when Larry had a setback across the country, Ken didn't give it another thought. He was on the soonest plane out to the East Coast so that he can be there for his friend. That shows you his true character. When we went on a family vacation, one time in particular, he was wearing this red hat that had white lettering on it in Russian. And there were guys at that resort, they loved it. Ken loved it. He was in his element. Nobody stopped them from talking about politics. People would come up to him and shake his hand. They may have called him Mr. Davis. I'm not sure. But he said, "Hey, Marco," the one guy, he likes my hat. He said, "Hey, Ken, is that good for us?" And I said, "Oh, yeah, that's really good for us." He said, "Okay, Ken." And then later he came and he showed me his phone and his Amazon purchase. He said, "My hat's on order and it'll be there before I get home." I'll share one more memory. When Ken walked Julie down the aisle and handed her hand to mine, he said, "Take care of my daughter." And I said, "I will." So when we were in the hospital, and he pulled my elbow and said, "Marco, I just want to tell you one thing." Not that. And he pulled me in close, and I gave him a hug, and he said, "Take good care of my daughter." So I want to say to Ken, as I did then, listen, Ken, I will. And I know not supposed to talk about politics, but I just want to tell you this one thing. Ken, I love you and I miss you, and I have so much gratitude, and I want all of us to be clear that you make America and this family great.